Africa, the origin of humanity, culture and civilization. Every civilization on Earth has a culture, but only one gave humanity its first. Before there were nations, before there were borders, before there was writing, religion or recorded history, Africa was already shaping how humans lived, thought, remembered and belonged. This is not a story meant for Africa alone. It is a human story, because Africa's culture did not simply exist, it travelled, it endured, and it shaped the world we all live in today. Much of what we call modern civilization rests on ideas whose origins are rarely discussed. Ideas about family, about leadership, about music, about memory, about identity. These ideas did not appear suddenly. They were developed, refined, and lived over thousands of years. Today we trace those foundations back to where human culture itself began. Not to myth, not to legend, but to Africa. For generations, Africa's story has often been introduced at the point of disruption, slavery, colonization, extraction. But Africa did not begin there. That is where its story was interrupted. Africa is the birthplace of humanity, and culture is humanity's first technology. Before humans shaped stone, they shaped relationships. Before they built cities, they built communities. Africa shaped those first systems that would later echo across continents and civilizations. The earliest African societies understood something fundamental. No human survives alone. Community was not optional, it was survival. Children belonged to everyone. Elders were respected as living libraries. Work was shared. Success was collective. This idea that the individual exists within the group became one of the most enduring cultural principles in human history. Across Africa, this philosophy took many forms, but its essence was the same. Your humanity is connected to others. Today, this idea appears globally through social welfare, family systems, moral philosophy, and human rights. But long before it became theory, it was culture, lived daily across Africa. What if civilization didn't begin with buildings, but with belonging? Before books existed, Africa mastered memory. Knowledge was not stored on paper, it was stored in people. Stories carried history, proverbs carried philosophy, songs carried law, values, and warnings. Griots and elders memorized lineages, treaties, migrations, and moral codes, often spanning hundreds of years. This system trained attention, listening, and collective responsibility. It shaped how humans learned, through repetition, rhythm, and meaning. Even today, storytelling remains one of humanity's most powerful tools in education, leadership, and culture. Africa taught humanity how to remember, long before the world learned how to write. In Africa, music was never entertainment alone. It was communication, it was coordination, it was healing. Drums carried messages across distance, songs regulated labour, dance synchronized community movement. Rhythm trained emotional intelligence, how to feel together, move together, and respond together. As Africans travelled across the world, through trade, migration, and displacement, these rhythms travelled too. Today's global music carries Africa's heartbeat, from blues and jazz to reggae, hip-hop, and pop. Even when voices were silenced, rhythm survived. African art was never decoration. It was language. Mass taught morality, sculptures recorded leadership, textiles carried identity. Adinkra symbols compressed philosophy into form. The Benin bronzes preserved history without words. These systems shaped how humans communicate visually today, from flags and emblems to symbols and logos. Africa taught the world that meaning does not always need words. African societies developed governance rooted in balance. Power was guided by elders, councils, and tradition. Leadership was accountable. Justice focused on restoration, not destruction. Concepts like Ubuntu, I am because we are, remain among humanity's most profound philosophies. These values continue to influence ethics, leadership, and reconciliation worldwide. Africa's culture shaped human civilization not by conquest, but by connection. It did not seek to dominate, it taught humanity how to coexist. These ideas survive time because culture lives in people. When Africa's role is acknowledged, human history becomes whole. This is not Africa's story alone, it is humanity's inheritance. Which aspect of Africa's cultural influence speaks to you most? Community, storytelling, music, or values? Share your thoughts. This history grows stronger when many voices are heard. Africa's cultural influence did not end in the past. It continues in how we gather, how we create, how we remember. In the next chapter of Africa, the World's Stronghold, we explore how African knowledge shaped science, medicine, and the modern world. Because Africa's greatest contribution was never weakness, it was humanity.